Now, butterflies are in decline, according to last year's data, which shows the insects are struggling against the backdrop of habitat degradation, climate breakdown and pesticide use. But this summer, the Butterfly Conservation are urging people to help measure their recovery with the world's biggest survey happening today, called the Big Butterfly Count. Joining me now is the ambassador of the Butterfly Conservation, Ajay Tegala. A very good morning to you. Thanks so much for talking to us. So, first of all, you declared a butterfly emergency after last year's count. Tell us, first of all, how worried you are about the situation.
That's right. Yeah, last year was a really terrible year for butterflies, and we're very worried because of the long-term trend. You see, since the 1970s, there's been an 80% decrease in butterflies. So we're very concerned about that background to the populations of butterflies in the UK.
And we were saying in our introduction a little bit about the reasons behind that, but expand on that. Why is it that we're seeing a drop in the number of butterflies?
So it's a combination of various factors, including the weather. The weather's so unpredictable. Last year it was really wet. This year it's completely different. It's looking better because it's sunny, but also, of course, use of pesticides and habitat loss. So losing habitat, losing wild grass and those wild spaces that butterflies need, both adults nectaring on flowers, but also caterpillars feeding on grass as well. So that loss of habitat is really affecting them. But of course, there is hope, and people can help get involved with the Big Butterfly Count to help us actually find out more about how they're doing this year, which is looking much better, thankfully.
Well, yes, and I was going to come on to that. So tell us how the butterfly count works, because you need all of us, or as many of us as possible, to get involved, don't you?
That's right. The more people, the better, because it's our chance to play our part and help butterflies. And it's very simple. All it is a case of spending 15 minutes anywhere, really, your local green space, maybe your garden, a park, and counting whatever butterflies and day-flying moths you see within 15 minutes. And if you head to the Butterfly Conservation website, there's ID charts like this one that help you identify the species and see what you're recording. And then just taking 15 minutes, feeding in that data, that helps us to understand this year how the populations are looking and helps us to look after them going forward. So it gives us hope for the future.
Well, yes, so you get the numbers this way, you get the stats, but how do you go about trying to protect butterflies in future?
Well, that's a really good question, and that is about protecting their habitat. It's about limiting pesticide use. It's about, I mean, we can't really control the climate or the weather, but we can create more spaces for them. So putting out pollinators, putting out flowering plants in wild spaces, letting grass grow, all that we can do to help influence them, but also recording them is part of that, because we need that data to basically to be able to take a health check, to be able to see how they're faring. So it's that combination between positive action, creating the space, creating the habitat, and keeping an eye on them and recording them and keeping them in our hearts as well, enjoying seeing them and appreciating them.
Well, yeah, that's true. It is always lovely to see butterflies, isn't it? But you sounded a bit more optimistic about this year. Why do you think it could be a more optimistic count this time round?
So this year is very different to last year in terms of weather. We had a very wet spring last year, and insects do struggle in those conditions. This year, with it being a lot warmer, that's really great conditions for the adults flying. So taking to the wing, lots of good conditions, because butterflies need a certain temperature. If it's too cold, they can't fly because their wings don't warm up. So the conditions are all right for them. They're really benefiting them. But also moths. We're having a fantastic year for moths as well. And that's because of the weather conditions as well. But of course, the challenge is that it's very changeable year to year with changing climate. You know, next year could be a completely different story. And so while we're having a good year this year, it's that long-term trend that's part of the picture as well. But thankfully, it's good for this year. They're hopefully laying lots of eggs, and fingers crossed, next year's butterflies will face a good year as well. We can only hope and do our best to understand them.
And anyone can get involved, young or old, no need for a science degree, I understand.
That's right, yeah, no white lab coats needed. Anybody can get involved, that's right, any age. And it runs until the 10th of August. Just pick a sunny day and take 15 minutes and record what butterflies you see. That's all it takes. It's really simple, but it really makes a difference.
OK, well, Ajay Tegala, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.